What's up, guys? I've never done this before, so we're gonna give it a shot, but I've always wanted to make a driving video or a kind of a journalistic video of my thoughts on a vehicle, and honestly the GR86 is probably the best platform to give it a shot. So unfortunately I've only got the one camera, the GoPro that you're looking at me on right now. I do have a Garmin dash cam up on the windshield, and I may try to put the videos together just to give you guys different perspectives while I'm driving, and maybe do a voiceover while I'm driving. But yeah, basically the whole purpose of this video is going to be me giving my honest driving impressions of the GR86. So for those of you that may be new to the channel, or this is the first video that you're watching on the channel, this is a 2023 Toyota GR86. It's a 6-speed premium spec. The premium spec really just means you get a few other luxury bits like heated seats, Alcantara leather, and a few miscellaneous things like the headlights that move with the steering wheel. But besides that, the base model is pretty much going to be the exact same, minus like the tires. It's the same engine, everything else. But yeah, I'm going to take this thing for a cruise. I've got to get some gas, and so I'm going to take you guys along with me and kind of give you my overall impression. Alright guys, so we're going to kick off this video here. So I'll tell you, the first time doing this or driving with a GoPro is kind of odd, because you almost want to look at the GoPro, but you can't while you're driving. So I'm sure there's some like cool tricks and stuff that professional journalists use when they're doing this type of stuff, but it is kind of interesting. I'm just never doing this again, like never have done this before. It is kind of just odd. Like, I just naturally want to look at the camera while I'm talking to it. But with that being said, guys, so this is the 2023 GR86 from Toyota / Subaru. This is the cabin noise as is. I don't have any dynamat or anything to suppress the noise while driving, and I'm going roughly about 45 miles an hour right now. So I'll just be quiet for a second. You can hear the sound. Hopefully the camera on the GoPro picked that up pretty well. I mean, honestly, it's a lightweight sports car that doesn't have a lot of sound dampening from the factory, obviously to try to keep the weight down, and honestly, you could probably argue to keep the cost down as well. But with that being said, given the price point of the car, given what the car is, I think that the road noise in the cabin is you know, comparable to many other vehicles in this class. I will say, having driven you know, some higher end German sports cars like an Audi and Porsche, you know, it's not quite as refined as that, but you're also paying about half, in some cases a quarter of what those cars are. So you've got to kind of have your expectations aligned with the cost of the vehicle. With that being said, the other highly discussed topic in these vehicles is the artificial engine noise. And often people have the dealership deactivate it before they even pick up the car. I've also watched some other videos where people just simply unplug the box that creates the sound that's underneath the dash on the passenger side, either not even owning the car for a day or after owning the car for several months. And I'll be honest with you, after owning this vehicle for several months, I've put roughly about 1,500 miles on the car at this point, so not a lot. I understand that. This isn't a daily driver for me. This is more of a fun, extra reliable car. I bought this car, actually, if you watch any of my videos, you know I have a high mileage Toyota Solara that is my daily driver. And so I actually bought this car to kind of do double duty. I wanted a fun weekend car, but also have a car that, in the event that the Solara dies, which it's a Toyota, so you never know, it could go on for 1,000,000 miles, I have a reliable car to get me to and from work. And so I do take this car to and from work sometimes on occasion, but I do prefer to commute in the Solara just because my commute is on the highway. It's also in a high volume traffic area, and so dings and dents and rocks and road junk getting flown up into it is quite common, and I would much rather keep this car nice and drive it on weekends and on roads that I can avoid all the nonsense. So with that being said, I have not deactivated the artificial engine sound in this vehicle. And honestly, it really doesn't bother me. I feel like this is probably one of the things on the internet that's been a little bit overblown in terms of like the engine noise. Now, I get the argument that people want to hear the raw sound of this car, but let's be honest, it's a 4-cylinder boxer engine that is going to sound pretty similar to the Subaru Crosstrek. Having owned a Subaru Crosstrek, I can tell you this engine sounds almost identical in every which way, with the factory exhaust and the way it sounds when it starts up from a cold start. It sounds almost identical to the Crosstrek. And I know there's a ton of similarities in the engines, minor tweaks with the high pressure fuel pump and things like that Toyota has done to this to make it a little bit more refined and a little bit more powerful. Now, with that being said, my overall impressions of this vehicle are quite favorable. I have enjoyed driving this car. It puts a smile on my face every time I drive it. I have owned a Miata. I actually owned a 1991 Miata, which is referred to as the NA, that had the 1.6 liter, and that is still to this day one of the most fun vehicles I have ever owned. I thoroughly enjoyed that vehicle. After owning the Miata, I actually owned a BMW E30, which has made an appearance on this channel many times. I actually sold the E30 earlier this year, mainly because of space. I didn't really have the space for 4 vehicles, and frankly didn't see the need to have 4 vehicles. And honestly, the GR86 kind of fit the mold for what I needed. I wanted again a fun weekend car that could serve as a give you an idea of road noise with a big lifted truck driving by. I wanted to have a reliable sports car that I can enjoy, and as much as I love the E30, it really didn't fit that mold. If you've ever owned an older German sports car or a German sports car period, even if it's brand new, you know that they are prone to braking and leaking, and oftentimes it's just a constant cycle of this brakes, you enjoy the car, this brakes, you enjoy the car, and honestly that gets old after a while. And so for me, I wanted to get something that was a little bit more turnkey, reliable, had a warranty, and honestly a little bit safer. I do, my wife does ride with me from time to time in these vehicles, and safety is something that I have started really taking into account when it comes to vehicles. The E30 had no airbags, no safety, so that was definitely something that also drove my decision to get into something a little bit more reliable. And honestly, as crazy as it is, this car having a lot of the modern amenities and safety features like side curtain airbags and just airbags in general really doesn't weigh much more than that E30, which again I think is pretty impressive given the price point for the car and the ingenuity that Toyota and Subaru have been able to achieve. So I'm gonna get on the highway here, so I'm gonna give you an idea of what it sounds like when you're hard accelerating onto the highway. You'll really get a sense for what that engine noise sounds like, or the artificial engine noise sounds like, and you guys can make the decision from there. Would you leave it on? Would you turn it off? You kind of make a choice from there if you think it's excessive. Alright, as I mentioned, we're about to turn onto the highway here, and when you're accelerating quickly up to speed is when you'll really hear the engine noise, and this is when you'll really be able to make the argument on whether or not the artificial sound is necessary or annoying. So I'll shut up and I'll accelerate, and you guys can make your own decision. I'm not even sure the GoPro camera picked that up, to be completely honest with you. Again, it's really not that bad, guys. The artificial sound is, I think, honestly blown completely out of proportion, in my humble opinion. I mean, I really don't see it as something that's just this nuisance. Again, for somebody who really wants to hear just the pure sound of the engine, that's probably the only argument I could see. And again, as I mentioned before, it's a small displacement Subaru Boxer engine, it's not really going to be the best sounding engine. I mean, there are really good sounding engines out there, trust me. I definitely appreciate the sounds of an LS or a V8. I really do appreciate the sounds of like the Audi 5-cylinder. I think that's one of the best sounding engines there is. I mean, it's just awesome. Yeah, engines with ITBs in general just sound amazing. But not to knock the car. I mean, the car is what it is. Boxer engines can sound really well. I am looking at putting an exhaust on this car, and so I'd love your guys' feedback too. So if any of you have a GR86 or BRZ and you have an exhaust system on it, put it down in the comments below. What do you have? What have you liked about it? What sounds the best in your opinion? Because there's a lot of different options, and that's the other cool thing about this car is the aftermarket world has really gotten around this vehicle and really rallied behind, you know, producing products for it, which is awesome. And that's part of what makes owning a car, particularly a tuner car, enjoyable, is the fact that there is so much aftermarket support that you can really make it your own. You can buy exhaust and headers and headlights and different things to really make it your own, and so no one else has the same car as you. And I think that's really what's enjoyable about owning a car like this, in addition to the performance and the handling and things like that. But yeah, if you've got a suggestion for exhaust, throw that down in the comments. I'd really like to know what you think. I'm leaning towards the Borla exhaust or the factory GR exhaust, actually. I think for the money and for the sound that you get, I think the Borla exhaust is great. From what I've been able to tell, there's been a couple of channels that have installed the Borla exhaust, and they've been quite satisfied with it. So it'll be interesting to see if that's what I end up choosing, given the options. If there's any part manufacturers or part suppliers out there that either build or supply exhaust for the GR86 and you want me to try it out, happy to do that too. I mean, I don't have any sponsors as of today, but I would definitely welcome that. I'm always open to trying different products and seeing what would be best, even if it's not Borla or Magnaflow or any of that. I'm willing to give a lot of the other options a shot. But yeah, so I'm gonna get off at the exit up here, and I'm gonna be quiet for a couple more seconds to give you guys an idea of that road noise I'm talking about. You probably can barely hear me. I'm not sure how well the factory GoPro mic is working, so hopefully it's working pretty well. But on the highway there is a noticeable amount of road noise, as you would expect again from a lightweight sports car that doesn't have a lot of sound deadening. But yeah, it's a fun car to drive. I have enjoyed it in the time that I've owned it thus far. I'm looking forward to taking some trips up to the mountains and having some fun. I really want to take it on the tail of the Dragon. It's been several years since I've been up there, and so I would love to take this car and you know, kind of just enjoy it. Not really push it to its limits, but just simply enjoy a very technical road to drive. I feel like that's what this car is really made for, and that's really where this car will shine. But yeah, I'll be quiet. You guys can hear the road noise, and I'll get off the highway, and then I'll pick you guys back up. Okay, so we just got off the highway. Hopefully you could get a good impression of what the engine noise sounds like, what the wind noise sounds like, just kind of what the overall impressions are like inside the cabin, particularly at highway speeds. The GoPro is mounted on the windshield, so it may be exacerbated a bit or heightened a bit just because of the camera placement, but I can tell you my head is not much further away from the windshield, so it's a pretty accurate representation of the overall noise you'll experience in the cabin of this vehicle. Again, I hope you guys can hear me over that wind noise. I'm not using any external microphones on the GoPro right now. I'm just using the built-in microphone, and honestly not sure how well the microphone on this GoPro Hero 9 works, so this will be a good test for it. Right now I'm going about 35 miles an hour getting off the highway. I'm actually spinning around and getting back on, and I'm going to give you guys another example of accelerating up to highway speed so you can get an idea of that artificial engine sound. So we'll do that here in a second. I got to turn back onto the on-ramp. and you'll be able to hear that artificial engine noise that I was referring to earlier. So hopefully you could hear from that video. We got up to highway speeds as you would if you're merging onto the highway. I honestly don't find that artificial sound being pumped into the cabin annoying, as I've mentioned probably 100 times now in this video. But again, I want to make that a point to put in this video so that you can make your own decision. You know, that's again the enjoyment of these cars, is to make it your own. And if you find that annoying, shut it off. It's pretty easy. Your dealership will shut it off for you, or there's several videos online about how to disengage the artificial engine noise by unplugging the little control module that actually makes the noise happen. It's pretty easy to do, actually. It's right behind the glove box pretty much, over on the side panel. But yeah, here we are again at highway speeds. Hopefully you can get an idea of that highway noise I was referring to. Honestly, it's not bad. You know, it's not as good as some of the higher end cars, like I said before. But given the price point and given what the car is, honestly, it's totally acceptable. I don't think there's any issues with the level of noise given the price point of this vehicle. But yeah, I'm gonna just shut up, cruise a little bit, hopefully give you guys an idea of the cabin noise again. Not sure how this is going to be edited into the video, but first time doing this, want to have as much footage as possible just to kind of give you guys the full experience of driving the vehicle. That gives you a little indication of the sound system. In the premium, one of the things you do get is you get the extra 2 speakers up on the dash, which I do think help with the overall sound in the cockpit. With that being said, I don't know who makes the speakers for Subaru. I mean, they do sound good. They've got pretty good bass, all things considered, but they're not going to give you the same kind of refined sound system as a JBL, a Bose, a Bang & Olufsen, or any kind of upgrade system like that. So premium is kind of I think that's kind of loose, just because some other comparable premium upgrades for audio are light years ahead of these speakers. But with that being said, they do sound really good. I probably at some point throughout my ownership of this car, again depending on how long I end up owning it, I will likely change these speakers out to something a little bit higher quality, like a JBL or something like that. Depending on the size of the speakers, I don't know if Subaru has a funky size in the door, or requires an adapter, because sometimes those things do limit the size of the speakers or the options for speakers that you can run on the aftermarket side. But yeah, guys, I really do enjoy this car. It is a lot of fun to drive. If you are in the market for buying this car, I know it's pretty hard to test drive one. I wasn't able to test drive mine before I bought it. I actually bought it completely sight unseen online. Had to actually drive to Tennessee to pick the car up, and I had never actually sat in one. With that being said, I did drive the first generation of this car, and virtually identical in a lot of different ways. There's different design elements, obviously, for this model, but in terms of like drivability, they're very, very identical. Obviously, this newer model, the GR86 BRZ, has slightly more horsepower. You know, obviously they tweaked the engine and modified it over the I think it's the FA20, because I think this is FA24. You know, so that plays a difference in terms of overall acceleration. Obviously, the infamous torque dip that the first generation car has, they've slightly refined that in this model. It's still there, but it's not quite as noticeable as it is on that first gen car, which is part of the reason I was able to make the buying decision that I did without driving the vehicle. Is having driven a first gen, it gave me a pretty good idea of what to expect, and really just honestly knew from watching a lot of YouTube videos that it's really just a more refined version of that Gen 1 car. And the digital gauge, digital dash cluster is a nice touch. Obviously the infotainment center has been upgraded. It now has Apple CarPlay, not wireless CarPlay, which is a little bit annoying. But I have a video on that, so if you're like me and you don't like the cords and the clutter, there's plenty of wireless CarPlay adapters on the market on Amazon. I picked up one for like, I think it was like 40 or 50 bucks, and it fits right down here in the console. It doesn't obstruct my cup holder, doesn't obstruct me placing my arm here on long drives for the armrest. Which is nice. You honestly don't even notice that it's there. And as you can tell, it works great because I can play my music and take phone calls and things wirelessly through CarPlay. If I do need to charge my phone on a long drive, I still use the wireless, and all I do is I throw my phone in the glove box. I have a dual USB port cigarette lighter charger. One of the outlets is going to the dash cam that you can't see in the video, and then the other one is open for me to be able to charge my phone or tablet or GoPro for that matter. But yeah, overall the ownership experience so far has been enjoyable. I do plan to take advantage of the free track day that Toyota gives you. Mine's actually scheduled for December, so in about 2 months. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. That may change my opinion of this vehicle. I have seen videos of these cars blowing up on the track, but honestly, you don't really get much insight into, you know, how the driver's abilities, did they money shifted, you know, was it being abused at the time? You know, there's very few background information on the videos of these engines blowing, besides maybe one or two where they actually do state, like I think one guy was actually on his track day, wasn't abusing the car, in fact was pretty much doing the equivalent of like a warm-up or parade lap, and the motor blew. So yeah, like I said guys, it has been enjoyable to own this car so far for the last few months. I enjoy driving it. It is honestly a good car to have if you are like me and you simply just wanted a fun, economical sports car. The parts for this thing are pretty cheap. Again, the aftermarket has rallied behind this car extensively, so there is tons and tons of things on the market for this thing that really can help you upgrade it and make it your own. So yeah, it's a blast to drive. If you're learning how to drive a manual, honestly, it's a good car to learn on too, frankly, just because it is a fairly forgiving car to drive. It does have the hill assist, as most Subaru cars do, so it keeps you from rolling back, at least initially, so it takes away the pressure of having to shift quickly when you're on a hill, so you don't inadvertently roll back. But yeah, like I said guys, this was just going to be a quick little kind of driving video, if you will, of me driving around in the car, enjoying it, giving you my impressions of the car. Hopefully it hasn't turned into a rant. Hopefully this video is actually helpful for anyone that either owns this car and had some questions, or if you're in the market for one of these and you really wanted the opinion from an owner, if you will, about what it's like to really own this car. But yeah, overall, I get pretty good gas mileage. I'm actually on the way to the gas station right now to fill up. So I'll probably share the results of my MPG at the end of this video as well. Besides the typical complaints you would have with any car, you know, seats, things like that, I think overall this car is really nice for the price point, and I think it is exactly what it's marketed to be. So yeah, with that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you guys in the next one. All right, guys, we're at the gas station. We're going to get some gas. So full disclaimer here, I did take this car on like a about 2.5–3 hour road trip, and now I've driven it around town a little bit, so it's a pretty good combination of light city driving, primarily highway driving. The dash says I've averaged 25.8 mpg, and I have 64 miles remaining on the tank of gas. As of right now, it says I've got 3 bars for the fuel limit. So yeah, I'll be able to tell you guys what the real fuel mileage is. And I think I've stupidly forgotten I'm not in the 4Runner. I'm in the GR86, which means that the gauge, or not the gauge, but the fuel filler is actually on the other side. So I'm gonna spin around really quick and put the pump on the right side. All right, so like I said, we are at the gas station. I'm gonna throw some fuel in it, and I'll come back with you guys and give you the real-time MPG. All right, we are back. So we ended up putting 8.5 gallons of fuel into the car, and the odometer says we did 256.3 miles to the gallon, so we divide that by 8.5. We got 30 miles to the gallon, guys. That is awesome. That is awesome, particularly when premium gas is $3.79 a gallon here in Georgia right now, and that's with 10 cents off a gallon at Shell using your Kroger fuel points. So life hack, guys, if you shop at Kroger, use your fuel points, and if you don't enjoy getting gas at Kroger, which truthfully they get fuel from the same places as a lot of other places, you can come to Shell and use your fuel points, at least here in Georgia. So cool little life hack. But yeah, we got 30 miles to the gallon on a combination drive of mostly highway and about 5% city driving. So that is awesome. We are well within the advertised fuel range for this car. And that, again, makes this thing so much more enjoyable, with the cost of fuel and maintenance and everything else being factored in to ownership and enjoyment of a car. Having something that actually gets good gas mileage while still being fun to drive is pretty neat as well. It's kind of a win-win. But yeah, again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you watch the full-length video that I'm doing of driving the vehicle on and off the highway and giving you my impressions, thanks for sticking around and watching till the end of that. If you're just simply watching the fuel mileage video, thanks for watching that as well. I really do appreciate any of the support, and if you want to see more videos like this, or if there's anything particularly on the car that I haven't covered or someone else hasn't covered and you would like to have covered, let me know. Put it in the comments down below. I'm always open to suggestions for video content. But with that being said, I'm gonna go drive this thing now and enjoy my Saturday. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.